I want you to hear this today. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Just because your breakthrough hasn't shown up on your timeline doesn't mean God has forgotten you. Delay is not denial. Delay is not the end of the story. It's a sign that something greater is being crafted in your life. I know it's hard to wait. I know the waiting room feels too small, the walls feel too close, and the clock feels like it's moving backward instead of forward. But listen, God is never in a rush to give you something that isn't ready for you yet. Sometimes He delays because what's coming is bigger than what you're ready to handle right now. Think about it. A farmer doesn't plant seeds and dig them up the next day. He waits. The seed has to go through seasons of darkness, through struggle beneath the soil, through pressure and growth unseen. And when the time is right, the plant bursts forth strong and alive, and the farmer's patience is rewarded. Your life is no different. God is planting something in you. He's cultivating it. In the waiting period, that's the soil where your strength, your faith, your resilience, your patience, your understanding, and your courage are being developed. You may be asking a God, why is it taking so long? I want to tell you something. The delay is not about denial. It's about development. God is preparing you for what you're about to step into. He's not trying to hurt you with the delay. He's not punishing you. He's protecting you from something that might come too soon, something you aren't ready for yet, or something that wouldn't honor His plan for your life. And here's the truth. The longer you wait, the more prepared you will be. The longer you wait, the more your faith will grow. The longer you wait, the stronger your testimony will be. Because when it comes, it won't just be good. It will be extraordinary. It won't just be enough. It will be more than enough. And when God's timing arrives, it will change the trajectory of your life in ways you never imagined. I want to encourage you. Stop comparing your season to someone else's. Stop looking at the clock and wondering why it hasn't happened for you yet. God's timing is perfect. The things that come too early often fall apart. The things that come on time last forever. And so your job in this season is not to fight the wait. It's to grow during it. It's to prepare your heart. It's to strengthen your spirit. It's to learn to trust Him in ways you never thought possible. Some of you are sitting here with dreams in your heart that feel delayed. Maybe it's a career breakthrough, a relationship, a financial breakthrough, a healing, a new season of life. I want you to know that the delay doesn't mean denial. The delay is simply God saying, I'm working behind the scenes. I'm preparing something worth the wait. I'm perfecting it before it reaches you. And here's the thing about what God prepares. It is always better than what we could have imagined on our own. He doesn't give half measures. He doesn't give us something just to say He gave us something. What He gives is complete. What He gives is complete. What He gives is more than we deserve. And it will make you look back and see that every delay was worth it. So if you are in a season of waiting, hear me clearly. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Don't lose heart. Delay is not denial. God is preparing something worth the patience. And when it comes, you won't just be ready. You'll be transformed. You won't just receive, you'll testify. You won't just get a blessing. You'll experience God in a way that will leave you speechless and full of praise. Your breakthrough is coming. The delay is part of the design. Stay faithful. Keep believing, keep praying, keep sowing, keep trusting. Because when God releases it, it will be more than you could have asked, more than you could have imagined, and more than enough to remind you that waiting was never wasted. It was preparation for your destiny. I want you to understand something deeply today. Just because something hasn't happened yet does not mean it will never happen. Just because your prayers haven't been answered in the way you expected doesn't mean God is silent. Delay is not denial. I know it feels frustrating sometimes. I know it feels like the world is moving forward and you are standing still. I know it feels like doors are closed and opportunities are passing you by. But the truth is, the pause, the waiting, the season of a not yet is not a rejection. It is a preparation. When we face delays, it's easy to feel overlooked or forgotten. We begin to question ourselves, to question God, and to question the purpose of what we're waiting for. But here's what you need to hear. God has not forgotten you. God has not abandoned you. The fact that you are still standing, still believing, still moving forward, even in the waiting, is proof that God is still working. Delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't arrived on your calendar yet doesn't mean it isn't coming. Think about the moments in your life where you've experienced waiting. Maybe it was a promotion that never came at the time you wanted. Maybe it was a relationship that seemed to stall. Maybe it was a dream that you poured your heart into, and yet it hasn't manifested. How many times have you felt the pain of delay, the discouragement of wondering if your prayers even matter? And yet, when you look back, didn't you see that some of the things that were delayed were actually meant to be delayed? Didn't some doors stay closed to protect you from something that wasn't ready for you yet? Or something that could have hurt you if it came too soon? Delay is God's way of saying, not yet, but soon. I am working even when you cannot see it. I am moving even when you feel stuck. I am preparing even when it feels like nothing is happening. The challenge is that we want instant results. We want answers today. We want life to move according to our schedule. But God is never late and He is never early. He is always on time, and the waiting is not wasted. Every second, every moment, every challenge, every trial is a part of the preparation for the blessing that is coming. When you hear the phrase, a delay is not denial, I want you to really feel it. Don't just nod along. Let it sink into your spirit. Delay is not denial. It is the space where God is shaping you, refining you, teaching you patience, testing your faith, and growing your endurance. The truth is, the longer you wait, the more ready you become. The longer you wait, the more your faith will be tested and strengthened. The longer you wait, the more you will appreciate the answer when it comes. Some of the greatest stories in history were marked by delay. People waited years, sometimes decades, for what they were promised. Joseph waited in a pit. Moses waited in the desert. David waited for the throne. Abraham waited for a child. And in every one of these stories, the delay was not denial. It was preparation. God was at work behind the scenes, orchestrating events, molding character, and ensuring that when the time came, His plan would succeed perfectly. It's easy to become discouraged during delay. It's easy to feel overlooked, forgotten, or even punished. But that is not the truth. Delay is an invitation to trust God more deeply. Delay is a call to align your heart with His purpose, to keep your eyes on Him, to walk by faith even when you cannot see the road ahead. Delay is the canvas on which God paints His masterpiece in your life. And if you learn to trust Him in the waiting, when the breakthrough comes, it will not just meet your expectations, it will exceed them. You have to remember that timing is everything. Sometimes we pray for things to happen too soon. Sometimes we try to force doors open that God is keeping closed for our good. The beauty of God's timing is that it is perfect. When something comes too early, it can collapse under pressure, can fail, or it can lead us down a path we were not ready for. But when it comes in God's perfect time, it is unstoppable, it is fruitful, it is life-changing. And you will see that the waiting was not a punishment, but a preparation for something far greater than you could have imagined. Delay is not denial. It is not a sign of God's absence. It is not an indication that you are forgotten or that your dreams are impossible. It is a reminder that God's ways are higher than your ways, that His timing is better than your timing, and that He is always working on your behalf. While you wait, He is moving in ways you cannot see. While you wait, He is orchestrating circumstances that will bring your breakthrough to life in a way that could never happen if it came too soon. While you wait, He is perfecting what He has promised you so that when it arrives, it will be more than enough and it will last. So today, as you face your season of waiting, I want you to take this to heart. The delay is not denial. Every pause, every setback, every not yet is part of a greater plan. You are not overlooked. You are not overlooked. You are not denied. God is still at work, shaping, preparing, and positioning you for what is coming. The truth is, the season of waiting is not wasted time. Every moment that feels stagnant, every day that feels like it's going nowhere, every period of life that seems quiet or uneventful, it is all part of God's preparation. The wait is not a punishment. The wait is not a setback. The wait is preparation. It is the space where God is shaping your heart, strengthening your character, and equipping you for what lies ahead. Too often we think of waiting as empty, as meaningless, but God has a different perspective. He sees what we cannot see. He knows what we do not yet understand. And while we are waiting, He is actively working in us, refining us, and setting the stage for the breakthroughs that are coming. Think about a seed. A seed doesn't sprout the moment it's planted. It doesn't immediately burst forth from the soil and show its full potential. First, it lies in the dark, buried beneath the earth, and it begins to grow roots. It begins to develop strength, unseen, hidden from the world. And only when the timing is right, when it has grown deep enough roots to support its growth, does it emerge and bloom. Your life works the same way. While you are waiting, God is building roots, roots of patience, roots of faith, roots of wisdom, and roots of endurance. When the season comes for your breakthrough, it will not falter, it will not collapse, because it was prepared with intentionality and care. I want you to understand that God's preparation is purposeful. He doesn't allow seasons of waiting without a reason. Every delay has a design. Every pause has a purpose. Sometimes the wait is about teaching you patience, about showing you that your timing is not always right, and that learning to trust God's timing is essential for what's ahead. Sometimes the wait is about strengthening your faith, so that when your blessing comes, you don't crumble under the weight of it, but you stand firm, grounded in confidence and trust. Sometimes the wait is about shaping your character so that you are not just receiving a gift, but you are becoming a person who can steward it with wisdom and integrity. During the wait, God is also working to align your circumstances. He is orchestrating people, opportunities, and situations in a way that you could not engineer on your own. The delay is a time of preparation not only for you, but for the environment around you. It is a time for God to create the perfect conditions for your blessing, so that when it comes, it lands in your life at the perfect moment and has maximum impact. What you see is waiting. God sees as positioning. What you see as quiet, God sees as activity. What you see as delay, God sees as divine preparation. Many times we are tempted to take shortcuts. The wait feels too long. We are tempted to act impulsively, to force doors open, to settle for less than God intended, just so that something can happen. But here's the danger. Rushing the process can rob you of the fullness of what God wants to give. Preparation is necessary. Preparation ensures that when your season arrives, it is sustainable, meaningful, and life-changing. The things that come too soon often fail because the roots were not strong enough. The things that come at the right time flourish because they were nurtured in the waiting. It's also important to remember that preparation in the wait is not always comfortable. It can feel lonely. It can feel like struggle. It can feel like frustration and even disappointment. But discomfort is a sign of growth. Growth is rarely painless. The fire of preparation often burns, but it is burning away the old, refining the heart, and equipping you for the new. The person you are becoming during this season of waiting is just as important as the blessing that is coming. The wait is a workshop, a training ground, and a proving ground for your faith, your patience, and your perseverance. God uses the waiting period to teach lessons that we will carry with us into our future. Lessons about trust, about resilience, about humility, about gratitude. Lessons about relying on God rather than relying on our own strength. Lessons about understanding that His plan is bigger than our plan and that His timing is better than our timing. The wait is not wasted because these lessons shape us into people who are ready for the responsibility, the opportunity, and the blessing that is ahead. The wait also tests our focus. While we wait, we are given the choice to grow impatient or to grow persistent, to complain or to praise, to doubt or to trust. The wait is God's way of revealing where our faith truly stands. Are we willing to trust Him when we don't see the outcome yet? Are we willing to remain faithful when the situation seems stagnant? Are we willing to allow Him to work in us and through us even before the external change happens? These are the questions the wait asks, and the answers shape the strength of our future testimony. So if you are in a season of waiting, I want you to embrace it. Don't waste it complaining. Don't waste it worrying. Don't waste it comparing yourself to others. Instead, see it for what it really is, a preparation period. A time for God to equip you, to refine you, to strengthen you, and to position you for the good things He has planned. The wait is not idle, it is purposeful. The wait is not meaningless, it is formative. The wait is not hopeless, it is hopeful. And when the timing is right, all the preparation, all the patience, all the endurance, and all the lessons you have learned will come together to produce something far greater than you could have achieved on your own. Comparison is one of the most dangerous traps you can fall into, especially during a season of waiting. It steals your joy, it clouds your vision, and it keeps you from fully embracing the plan that God has for your life. When you look at someone else's progress, their opportunities, their achievements, or their blessings, it's easy to start questioning your own worth, your own timing, and even your own purpose. But here's the truth you need to hear today. Your journey is unique, your timing is divine, and the blessing God has for you is tailored specifically for you. Comparison steals peace, and if you let it, it can make you impatient, frustrated, and even bitter. The moment you begin comparing yourself to others, you begin to measure your value by someone else's accomplishments. You start thinking, oh, why hasn't this happened for me yet? Why are they ahead while I'm still waiting? Why am I still struggling while they seem to have it all? These questions are dangerous because they take your eyes off God and put them on human standards, on fleeting appearances, on things you cannot control. But God's plan for you is not based on what anyone else is doing. It is not dictated by the pace of your peers, your friends, your colleagues, or even the people you see on social media. Your life is not a competition. Your life is a calling. Your life is a story that only you can write, and it will unfold according to God's perfect timing, not anyone else's schedule. Think about the times when someone else seemed to get their breakthrough faster than you. Maybe it was a job, a promotion, a relationship, a financial breakthrough, or a personal dream. You may have felt overlooked or left behind, and the temptation to compare can be strong. But what if God is orchestrating your journey differently for a reason? What if the reason you haven't received yet is because the blessing that's coming for you is greater than what anyone else has experienced? What if your timing is actually perfect and what you see as delay is actually God's design to prepare you for something extraordinary? When you compare yourself to others, you miss the beauty of your own path. You miss the lessons, the growth, and the preparation that God is carefully working into your life. Comparison also leads to frustration and discontent. It makes you focus on what you don't have instead of what you do have. It makes you overlook the progress you've already made, the victories you've already experienced, and the ways God has already been faithful to you. Every season of your life, every challenge, every delay, every triumph, every setback, they are all part of your unique journey. They are all shaping you, growing you, and positioning you for the future. When you compare, you discount your own growth. You discount your own blessings. You discount the ways God is working quietly behind the scenes to bring about the perfect outcome in your life. Comparison can also distort your vision of what God has for you. When you focus on someone else's life, you start chasing what they have instead of what God has for you. You start trying to copy their path, imitate their success, or achieve milestones that aren't meant for you. But God's plan is specific, intentional, and perfect for your life. What He has for you is not a copy of someone else's blessing. It is unique, it is customized, and it will bring fulfillment in a way that no other path could. When you embrace your own journey and stop comparing, you allow God's plan to unfold without interference. You allow yourself to trust Him fully, to walk in faith, and to remain patient in the waiting. You have to remember that comparison is a thief of peace. It steals your joy, it steals your gratitude, and it steals your faith. It keeps you focused on what you lack instead of what you already possess. It keeps you focused on other people instead of the one who created you and has a perfect plan for your life. God's timing is perfect. Your journey is unique, your season is yours, and it cannot be rushed, copied, or replicated. While someone else's blessing may seem to arrive quickly, your blessing is being prepared carefully, intentionally, and perfectly so that when it comes, it will change the trajectory of your life forever. Think about the people in the Bible who waited long periods for their promises. Joseph spent years in a pit and in prison, while others seemed to be living the life he longed for. Moses spent decades in the desert while Pharaoh's kingdom prospered. David waited for the throne while Saul ruled. Each of them had to resist the temptation to compare themselves to others, to focus on their own preparation, and to trust God's timing. And in the end, their patience, faith, and trust allowed God's plan to unfold perfectly. Their breakthrough didn't come too early or too late. It came exactly when God intended. Comparison doesn't just steal peace, it undermines faith. The more we compare, the more we doubt. The more we doubt, the less we trust. And when trust falters, impatience rises, frustration grows, and the waiting becomes unbearable. But when you stop comparing, when you focus on your own journey, and when you trust God's timing, you find peace in the pause. You find strength in the waiting. You find joy in the process. You find faith in the preparation. So today I want you to hear this clearly. Stop measuring your life by someone else's standard. Stop allowing the progress of others to dictate your faith or define your worth. Comparison steals peace. Comparison steals joy. Comparison steals trust. Instead, embrace your season, celebrate your journey, grow where you are planted, trust in God's timing, focus on your own preparation, and know that what He has prepared for you is worth every moment of waiting, worth every lesson, worth every challenge, and worth every sacrifice. Timing is everything. What comes too early often fails, and what comes too late can miss the moment. But what comes on time, what arrives exactly when God intends, lasts. It endures, it bears fruit, it impacts your life in a way that nothing rushed or forced ever could. There is a wisdom in God's timing that our human minds can hardly grasp. But the evidence of it is everywhere in the lives of those who waited faithfully and trusted Him to deliver exactly what was needed, exactly when it was needed. Many times we look at someone else's success and feel impatient, but the reality is that God's timing is perfect. And when something comes to you on time, it is not just a gift. It is a foundation for a future that will withstand trials, tests, and seasons of uncertainty. Think about a building. If a structure is built too quickly, cutting corners and skipping preparation, it will eventually crumble. If the foundation is weak, no matter how impressive it looks at first, it will not stand the test of time. But when a building is constructed carefully with proper planning, with strong materials, and with the right foundation, it will endure storms, earthquakes, and time itself. Your life works in a similar way. God is laying the foundation, placing each brick carefully, and ensuring that the timing is perfect. When your breakthrough comes, it will last because it was prepared with intention, wisdom, and divine foresight. Waiting for God's timing can feel frustrating. It can feel like life is stagnant or that nothing is happening. You may see others succeed while you are still in the waiting room, and it can be tempting to try to rush things or force doors open before God says it's time. But rushing only leads to disappointment. Acting too soon often brings instability, failure, or complications that could have been avoided. What comes too early may fall apart because it lacks the proper foundation. What comes too early may not have the endurance to sustain the blessing, the relationship, the opportunity, or the breakthrough. God's timing is perfect, and when you trust it, what arrives will not just be temporary, it will be lasting. I want you to consider the seasons of your own life. How many times have you tried to make something happen before it was ready, only to see it fail or bring stress instead of joy? How many times have you received something that seemed good at first, only to realize that it wasn't meant for you, that it lacked staying power, or that it caused more harm than good? These moments are lessons, reminders that God's timing is precise and purposeful. What comes on time lasts, and what comes on time will fulfill God's purpose for your life completely. The stories of faith in the Bible show us this principle clearly. Joseph could have given up while in the pit or while in prison. He could have resented his circumstances and tried to create his own way forward, but he trusted God's timing. And when the time came, he was elevated to a position of power, influence, and blessing that lifetime. Moses spent decades in the desert before leading the people of Israel. David waited years before becoming king. Abraham waited decades before seeing the fulfillment of God's promise of a child. In every case, the timing was perfect. What came on time changed history, shaped nations, and created legacies. What came on time was not fleeting, it endured. One of the reasons timing is so important is because life is full of pressures, challenges, and seasons that can test what we receive. If a blessing comes too soon, we may not be equipped to handle it. If a blessing comes too early, we may not have the wisdom, the character, or the perspective to manage it well. But when it comes on time, we are prepared. We are ready. We are equipped. And the impact is greater because the timing allowed God to complete his preparation in us, to ready us for responsibility, stewardship, and purpose. Waiting for the right time also teaches patience and trust. It teaches reliance on God rather than our own strength or understanding. It teaches us to celebrate progress rather than rushing toward a distant goal. It allows us to build endurance, resilience, and faith. Every delay, every pause, every season of waiting is part of God's preparation to ensure that what arrives is sustainable, meaningful, and life-changing. When it comes, it will last, and it will impact not only your life, but the lives of those around you. I want to remind you that God's timing is never accidental. What comes on time is never a coincidence. It is the result of divine orchestration, careful preparation, and intentional planning. God knows exactly when to open doors, exactly when to bring opportunities, exactly when to fulfill promises. He knows the moment when you will be ready to receive fully and when your blessing will have the maximum impact. And because it comes on time, it will last, it will endure. It will create a foundation for future success, future joy, and future growth. So if you find yourself in a season of waiting, do not grow impatient. Do not try to force what is not yet ready. Do not compare yourself to the timing of others. Remember that what comes too early may falter, what comes too late may miss the moment, but what comes on time lasts. Trust God's timing. Embrace the preparation. Walk faithfully in the season you are in. Be diligent, be persistent, and remain steadfast in your faith. The timing may not be yours, but it is perfect, and the result will endure far longer than anything you could create on your own. Faithful persistence is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your journey. It's not enough to hope for your breakthrough. It's not enough to pray for it and then sit back expecting it to arrive on your timetable. Faithful persistence is the daily decision to keep going, to keep believing, to keep sowing, and to keep trusting even when the road is long, the waiting is hard, and the outcome is unseen. It is the act of refusing to quit when circumstances suggest that quitting is easier. It is the quiet strength of continuing to move forward in obedience, patience, and hope, knowing that God honors persistence and uses it to prepare you for greater things. Many times we give up too soon. We stop believing because the answer hasn't come yet. We stop praying because it seems like nothing is happening. We stop working because we are tired or discouraged. But the truth is, your breakthrough may be just around the corner, and giving up means you could miss it entirely. Faithful persistence pays. It pays because God sees your effort, He values your commitment, and He honors those who remain steadfast even when the situation seems hopeless. The waiting period is not a signal to quit. It is an opportunity to prove that your faith is real and your trust in God is unshakable. Think about the heroes of faith. They did not succeed because their journey was easy or because their path was free from obstacles. They succeeded because they refused to give up. Abraham continued to trust God despite decades of waiting for a child. Joseph maintained his integrity despite being betrayed, imprisoned, and overlooked. Moses kept leading the people even in the desert when the end seemed distant. David continued to wait for the throne despite years of rejection and danger. Each of these lives demonstrates that faithful persistence is more than just enduring. It is actively trusting, moving, and growing while the fulfillment of God's promise is on its way. Persistence is not just about action. It is about alignment. It is about staying in step with God's purpose while continuing to move forward. Faithful persistence means that you are not just waiting idly, you are actively preparing. You are growing spiritually, emotionally, and mentally during the wait. You are developing the wisdom, the strength, and the resilience that will be required when your breakthrough arrives. The person who receives a blessing without preparation may squander it, but the person who persists faithfully while waiting is ready to steward it wisely. Persistence is preparation in motion, patience made practical, and faith made tangible. It's important to recognize that persistence requires sacrifice and consistency. It requires showing up even when you feel like giving up, even when results are invisible, and even when hope seems distant. Many people quit right before their miracle appears, not realizing that the answer was closer than they thought. Faithful persistence pays because it keeps you in the arena long enough to see God's hand move, long enough to witness His promises unfold, and long enough to experience the fullness of what He has prepared. Every prayer, every act of obedience, every effort to stay faithful contributes to the moment when your breakthrough arrives. Persistence also trains your heart and mind. It teaches discipline, strengthens character, and builds endurance. Life will challenge you, test you, and try to discourage you. Circumstances may seem unfair, delays may feel endless, and opposition may appear relentless. But every time you choose to continue, every time you refuse to quit, you are proving that your faith is not dependent on immediate results, but on God's faithfulness. Faithful persistence pays because it cultivates trust, builds resilience, and positions you to receive with gratitude, humility, and wisdom. Another reason persistence is so powerful is that it aligns you with God's timing. When you persist faithfully, you remain in the position God wants you to be in for His plan to unfold perfectly. You are ready when the door opens, you are prepared when the opportunity arrives, and you are equipped when the blessing comes. Those who abandon the journey too early often miss the fullness of God's provision because they are not present when it is delivered. Faithful persistence keeps you present, focused, and ready to embrace God's timing with confidence. Faithful persistence also strengthens your testimony. Every season of effort, every trial endured, every moment of obedience becomes part of the story you will tell. Your persistence demonstrates that God is faithful even when life is difficult. It shows that hope can survive disappointment and that trust in God can endure delay. When your breakthrough finally arrives, your testimony will inspire others, encourage those who are struggling, and glorify God because it reveals the power of faith made active through persistence. The key to faithful persistence is not relying solely on your own strength. It is about leaning on God, trusting Him, and allowing His Spirit to empower you when your resolve is weak. It is about prayer, obedience, and constant alignment with His will. Persistence without faith is weariness, but persistence with faith is power. Persistence with faith is what moves mountains, unlocks doors, and brings promises to fruition. Persistence is not a passive hope. It is an active trust to stay faithful and a refusal to surrender before God's plan is complete. So if you are in a season of waiting, if you are facing delays, obstacles, or uncertainty, I want you to know this. Faithful persistence pays. It pays because God is working in your life even when you cannot see it. It pays because every act of trust, every prayer, every effort to stay obedient, and every step you take toward Him is part of the preparation for your breakthrough. Faithful persistence ensures that when the moment comes, you will be ready, equipped, and able to embrace the fullness of God's promise in your life.